Hello everyone, NeilRocks87 here. I'm here today to tell you about an adventure I took this past summer that was, let's just say, it was absolutely priceless. As you know, I've been a fan of The Price is Right pretty much my entire life, since pretty much the day I was born, which would account for my entire life. And one of my favorite model on the show, as you know if you're a regular viewer of my channel, is Rachel Reynolds. Well, I had an amazing experience this past summer. I actually got to go to The Price is Right, and I got to meet Rachel. This video is going to be everything. I'm going to tell you guys everything that happened during my trip, and there is a bit of a backstory to all this. Okay, so this all kind of started on Facebook and a little bit of Twitter. In April of 2010, because like I said, I am probably the hugest fan of Rachel from Price is Right. I created a group on Facebook, a Facebook group called Fans of Rachel Reynolds from The Price is Right. Just because I thought it was a cool idea to do that. Well, somewhere along the line, I want to say a couple months to a year later, someone joined my group. And I eventually found out that this person, whose name is Sherry, and I found out she has a website. How do I describe this? I don't want to say, do I say dedicated to Rachel, or a tribute to Rachel would probably be a best way to describe it. So I thought that was pretty cool. She's got a lot of cool stuff on her website. You know, screenshots of Price is Right episodes and all of Rachel's Venus Swimmer pictures and all kinds of stuff. Check it out if you haven't already. So when Rachel joined Twitter in 2011, you know, her and Rachel started talking with Sherry because Sherry created a Twitter account for the website. And they really got to know each other, and Rachel invited Sherry to go out to California and see The Price is Right, and got to meet Rachel. This was back in 2012. And quite frankly, I was jealous. Well, who wouldn't be? So I thought that was cool. And long story short, Sherry mentioned to me this past, I think it was December or January or something like that, that if I was ever to go out to California to see Price is Right, she would go along with me so I could meet Rachel. And that is exactly what happened. So we decided on a day that would work best for both of us, which we went the last week of August. We went to the shows that aired on August 25th, the shows that were taped August 25th, 26th, and 27th. We flew out there on Saturday the 23rd, and we did all kinds of other stuff besides seeing Price is Right. Let's see. We flew out there the 23rd. She had a flight from Pennsylvania to Chicago, and another one from Chicago to Los Angeles. And then I had a flight from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because I had to drive to Milwaukee. Well, not me personally, my sister drove me. From Milwaukee to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and then from Minneapolis to Los Angeles. And that pretty much took up most of the day, because I remember my flight from Minneapolis to Los Angeles was about 3.5 hours. And my first flight was about an hour and some minutes, an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. And this was actually the first time I was ever on a plane. And I really never had any fear of flying, but I didn't have any problems with it whatsoever. If you've never been on a plane, to me it's almost like riding on a bus. That's what it's like for me. I didn't have any issues with it. I thought it was an interesting experience in itself. So I made it to LAX on time. Sherry's flight was a little delayed because of weather, but I knew that she was about an hour behind, so I went to baggage claim and picked up my bag because I didn't want that to get lost. And I just waited for Sherry. Then once we met up, we had talked about this prior to going out there, was using I don't want to say a cab service, but kind of like a ride service is a better way to describe it, called Lyft. It's a LYFT is the way it's spelled. It's a mobile app for your phone, and all you gotta do is request a ride, and usually it worked out really well. Usually within a few minutes they're usually there to pick you up. So that was pretty cool. And there's no cash that has to change hands. It's all, you enter your credit card information and it's billed right to your credit card. We each used that because actually I don't think I've mentioned this here on YouTube yet. This past spring I got a new smartphone. So we each had that on our phones, and we each requested rides to go places. So Sherry requested a ride once we met up at Los Angeles airport, and we got a ride to our hotel rooms. Our hotel was the Roadway Inn, literally, you're gonna like this, literally right across the street from CBS Television City, right there on Beverly Boulevard. So we each checked into our rooms, got all settled in. This was probably about 7 o'clock at night, California time. Yeah, I want to say about 7 or 7:30 or something like that. So we got all settled in, and we decided to go get supper. There's a Subway right down the street. So we walked down there, had supper, and called it a night, because we were both pretty exhausted from flying. So the next day we had all of our stuff planned, that places we wanted to go. We spent all day Sunday, I would say most of the day on Sunday. We went down to Venice Beach and walked around there for a while. Went out on the pier, and from there we walked up to Santa Monica Pier, and I had a lot of fun out there. That was pretty cool. Got a little sunburnt out there, but because I was dumb enough to forget to bring sunscreen with me. But well, I think we've all had that problem in some point in our lives, but that was okay. I liked being out there. That was pretty cool, seeing the ocean and all that. I took plenty of pictures, as you guys are seeing right now. We spent Sunday at the beach, and then Monday was our first episode of Price is Right. I, ahead of time, had already ordered tickets. I don't want to say, I guess ordered isn't the right word, but got tickets because they are free. And I ordered priority tickets because the priority tickets would guarantee you a spot in line at the show. So the show, we went to the first tapings on each day. So they usually shoot the first show at about just after 12 noon. This would be California time. So we had to be there probably, the tickets at 8:30, but Sherry and I made it a point to be there right around 8 o'clock. So got up, had breakfast, walked over to the studio. It was right across the street. We had to walk across Beverly Boulevard, and then down to Fairfax, and then the entrance that they had us go through was off of Fairfax. So, two things you will need to have if you're, actually there's probably three things that you will need to have if you're going to the Price is Right, okay? Number one, your tickets. Number two, a valid photo ID. And number three, a lot of patience. You spend more time in line waiting than you do in the studio taping the episodes. So here's how this works. This is gonna be cool to tell you guys how all this works. All right, when you're standing out in line on Fairfax Avenue there, someone will come by and claim your tickets, and they will give you a priority number, which I still have mine from my show. First show I went to, here it is, number 62. Number 62 is my priority number. They hand these out, they give you them right there, and then you walk in the entrance to the studio, and the first thing then you show your photo ID to the security guards or the CBS pages. For those of you who don't know, the CBS pages kind of work like ushers that kind of keep everything in order. Alright, you show them your photo ID, they let you in. Next thing you're going to get from two CBS pages standing there are contestant waiver forms, where you will need to... there's a couple pages you have to sign. You'll need to put the last 4 digits of your social security number, so make sure you have that memorized if you don't. And sign, and this, it's just... well, it's just... I don't know how to describe it. It's just waiver forms to sign that gives them permission to put you on TV and stuff. You sign those, and then you walk over to... there's some benches for everyone to sit on, and they would like it for everyone to be in order by your priority number. So the sooner you get there, the sooner you're going to get in. Alright, while you're waiting there, you fill out your forms, and then someone will come by and claim those, and then another CBS page will come by and write your name on the famous price tag, name tags. I still have mine. I think... here's one of mine that I still have. And for a note, they do have to write the name that is actually on your identification, like your driver's license or state ID like I have, or whatever. So let's say if your name was... if your name on your ID said Jonathan, but you go by John, they still have to write Jonathan on your name tag. That's just how it works. I still have all my name tags, so some of them, they didn't really survive the trip home, but I'm hanging on to them. So yeah, they will do that. Then you will be asked to place your priority number underneath your name tag like this, and then affix it to your shirt in the upper right corner. So after that, there is a tiny little gift shop there if you wanted to buy anything. I didn't have a chance to, but that was fine because I had enough Prices Right shirts and mugs and hats and all that stuff anyway. So next thing you're going to do, they're going to take some pictures. The first picture you take individually and is solely for the purpose of the producers to see. After that, they are discarded. And it's all on digital camera stuff because it's 2014. The next pictures you will take are souvenir photos that you take with your group of friends, however many are there with you that day. I still have mine right here. After you take them, you go around the corner. I'll show this to you in a minute. After they take those pictures, you go around the corner. This will be on the west side of the building, and they seat you on more benches there, which I will tell you are not comfortable at all. And you will wait for the producers to come and talk to you. Actually, it's only one. You may have heard, if you're a loyal fan of Price is Right, you may have heard this name thrown around a couple times, Stan Blitz. He is the one who pretty much decides who gets on the show and all that. So while you're waiting out there, then the people with they come and show you your pictures, and they show them to you on an iPad or a tablet or whatever it is, and then they take 2 photos of you. One is just you just standing there, and then one's kind of a fun shot, like yay and all that stuff. and it's on a green screen superimposed on with the background being the big wheel. So here are two of mine. All right, this is from day number 1, and they give them to you in these little like frame. I wouldn't even call them frames. They're like paper folder frames. And here's mine from day number 1. As you can see, I'm a little sunburned from being at the beach the day before, but you know, that's okay. So that was day number 1. That was on August 25th. So they show them on the iPads, and you have a choice of 2, and you can buy them for some amount. So yeah, so then after you're done with that, actually before, and then here's day number 2 that we took. So those were that was from August 26th. Yeah, that's August 26th. And right away I'll show you day number 2's priority number. It was number 99 that day. So that's how the photos work. Then you go around the corner to Stan Blitz, who they kind of, the CBS pages heard you in kind of, I say about 15, 20 people at a time, and Stan does a brief interview with everybody in that group for probably not lasting more than a minute and a half. So this part right here is pretty much going to determine whether or not you get on the show. That right there, your enthusiasm and excitement and all that stuff determines that. So after you're all done, you go around the corner again to the south side of the building and walk over there to security, where you will be asked to empty your pockets and surrender any, your cell phone or any kind of recording device. You get a voucher ticket for it, and you pick it up after the show. So after you're done there, there's more benches ready to sit on, where this part right here, they're going to make sure everyone's sitting in order, because that's going to determine who gets into the studio first. You're sitting there for over an hour, where they will serve you food for what my opinion, an astronomical amount of money, but they feed you, and while you're sitting here waiting, they will show you. The first day they showed one, the second day they didn't. They show an old episode of Price is Right on the TVs out there. And I specifically remembered the episode. I mean, it was an episode older than I thought they would play, because it was an episode from season 39. It was an episode where they had 5 out of 6 games won. And the only one that was lost was this guy that really sucked at playing past the buck. So I remember that episode. So they show that to you while you're waiting, and they show you some little interesting videos out there too on those television monitors, where George Gray, the announcer, is giving some explanations about be happy, be excited, be nice to others around you, and all that stuff. And then they show you a montage of people going absolutely nuts, and it's funny, and that was cool. So after you're done waiting, this by now would probably be, I want to say, it's almost 12 o'clock noon by this point. They start herding everyone into the studio, and all right, you go into the building. There's a flight of steps right there. You go, all right, you turn right, you turn left. There's a flight of steps. You go up the steps. It's got a landing on it, and this huge Price is Right logo is painted on the wall right there, and it's the old school logo, like the Bob Barker days. So that's pretty cool. There's a landing right there, and then the steps turn and you go up again. You get to the top of those steps, and then you're pretty much at the doors for the studio. Outside the studio is two things that are pretty cool. One is a plaque that shows that the 5,000th episode of Price Right that they taped back in 1998 when the studio was renamed the Bob Barker Studio. That's pretty cool there. And also out there is a, what do you call that? A neon light in the shape of the CBS logo, the famous CBS eye. So that's pretty cool. And then from there, as you're walking in, there's also a sign out there that will tell you the air date and the production number of the episode you're about to see. So Sherry and I got there. There's a CBS page there that will ask you how many people are in your group. It was just Sherry and I, so we said two. There's the CBS page at the door. This door, for those of you who are loyal fans of the show, is the same door that Bob Barker would do audience entrances from when they were playing games that would block his normal entrance on the stage. So we said there were two of us in our group, so they directed us to go down to the other end of the studio, down the back side of the studio, to go over there. And so Sherry and I got to walk all the way across the back of the studio, right past the giant plasma screen, if you're familiar with the show. And there was two more CBS pages there that asked us how many are in your group and all that stuff. And they had us sit right there in the back row. And Sherry told me, well, let's go down here to the end, because if you're familiar with the geography of the studio, if you will, there's a large platform in the middle of the studio in the back. So Sherry and I went and sat down on the end, this would be nearest to the giant screen. So this would be if you're watching the show on TV, this would be the left corner. Yeah, on the left side of the studio, but closest to the giant screen. We figured if they were going to use the screen for a trip there, then that'd be cool to see. So we did that. So once everyone is seated, when you enter the studio, there's usually pop music playing, and just to keep the whole kind of party atmosphere alive in the studio, and it's pretty cool. So once everyone is seated, the announcer George Gray will come out, and he's introduced on this thing over the loudspeaker, and he'll come out and try to give you a few guidelines on what to do, what not to do, and this and that and all that stuff. And then there's this cool part where right before they're about to start the show, the director will come on the loudspeaker in the studio there, and he'll tell us and George will say, "Ooh, this is our director Adam. We go by code names." and he goes, "Yes, Goose." I thought that was cool. That was pretty funny. And then Adam, the director, will say, "It's time to start the show," and then everyone just goes nuts. So George runs over to his podium. He does the whole announcement right before that. I can't believe they still actually do this. Right before the show starts, they'll say, "This is show number," this one was 6841K, with an air date of October 13th, 2014. And then that's when they start the show. Now, I'm not going to say anything about what actually happened at the show, because I don't want to spoil anything. But I had an absolute blast. This is just the first day, keep in mind. Just the first day. So the show is going along just fine. Even just before the show started, I saw Rachel walk out on stage because she was handing Drew his microphone at the beginning of the show. Okay, I did spoil that, but that's not a big deal. And I just right there, I wasn't even close to her, and I got that nervous feeling just being in the same room with her, and it was amazing. Okay, so the show is going along just fine, and I want to see, I was halfway through the show. It was during the fourth pricing game. I'm just paying attention to what's going on stage because Drew and the contestant are, yeah, we're up on the turntable stage. Okay, I spoiled that too, but, and then I'm not even paying attention to anything around me. Drew's talking to the contestant, who are you, where are you from, all that kind of stuff. And then Sherry starts nudging me. It's like, I'm too busy paying attention to what's going on stage, and she goes, look, there she is. I look over, 4 feet away from me, there's Rachel standing there, and I swear to God, I just about jumped out of my seat. So Sherry's plan of them using the giant plasma screen for, obviously it was a trip, was right, and Rachel was presenting it. I thought that was absolutely awesome. And I should point out, Rachel did know ahead of time Sherry and I were coming, so I was like, holy crap. I thought that was awesome. So I thought that was cool. I knew that she wouldn't have any real time to do anything after that. Right before she was supposed to go on camera, Sherry and I are waving at her, she's waving back. I thought that was cool. So she's done presenting the trip, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember where it was too, because I was too busy freaking out inside. And so I'm paying attention to what game they're playing. I won't say what it is, but next thing I know, as Rachel was leaving, she came over and quickly said hi to us, because we were right there in the back row, and she actually did put her arm around me. I thought that was cool. That was awesome that day. So the show went on as wrapped up, I want to say at a normal time. It felt like it was a good time to have the show completed in. I mean, I know there was one time they did ask us to, they did have to reshoot a couple things. I noticed that a lot the second day though. The second show I went to was like that. And there was one time that show we did, there was one time we had to reshoot a couple things during the third pricing game. And one of them wasn't even actually filmed until after the Showcase Showdown was over. So then after we were done with all that, George comes on and says, when the show airs, you could say, yeah, we totally faked that. So I won't say anything what happened, but that was pretty cool. So after we were done with taping the show and all that stuff, they had almost everybody walk out of the studio, going down the ramps, like you would go down, called to come on down past contestants row and out the back, go back out the same way we came in, all the way around the studio. So I thought that was pretty cool that I can actually say I was down there in contestants row, or as they say on the show, bidders row, which annoys me, but I won't get into that. I've always called it contestants row. So after we were done, we headed back before we were done, went back, got our phones, picked up our photos for those souvenir photos I showed you before, and headed back to the hotel. And after that, we decided to go over to a place that I thought would be a cool place to go, and that was a state park known as Kenneth Hahn Park. Now, to the average person, that's just a normal, plain Jane state park. But to me, it's kind of special because I am a fan of Power Rangers, and back in the day, the first 6 seasons of the show, they actually filmed scenes from Power Rangers at that park. It was known as Angel Grove Park. So we went there and walked around there, grabbed Subway before we headed there, got one of our lift rides over there, and it was cool being there. Wasn't a whole lot to really look at. I mean, there was a lot of trees. I mean, it's a park, so it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to be there. I thought that was great. So after we were done with that, we had lunch there. That's right. Yeah, we had lunch at the park from the subway that was across over by the hotel. I went over there, had lunch, head back to the hotel, relaxed for a while, and then was it Monday night? Yeah, Monday night we went over to a place called I want to call it Woodland Ranch, but I know that's not the name of it. It's close to it. It's called Wood Ranch Grill and Barbecue, or Grill and Bar, or Grill and something. I don't know. But it's like right. It's over by the Grove there, by the farmers market and all that stuff over there. So that was, so we had supper, was it? Yeah, supper there that night. And when we were there, or on our way there, Sherry mentioned that the last time her and Rachel she went out there to see Rachel and all that stuff, they went over and had lunch together there. So I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, we called it, after we were done with supper, we head back to the hotel and called it a night, because we were going back and doing the same thing the next day at Price is Right. And, well, I was looking forward to that for sure, so wanted to make sure we both got a good night's sleep. Second day was pretty much the same thing. Stood in line, did the contestant waivers, got the pictures, and all that stuff. Went through the contestant interviews and all that stuff. That show went really long. That show took a long time to tape. They reshot, I want to say, almost everything in that episode. I know they had a lot of stop downs in between during what would be the commercial breaks, but Drew is always on stage keeping everyone entertained. Like both days, or yeah, at least he made the same joke a couple times. But you got to remember, nobody's there usually there more than once. So he made this joke several times. I'm probably not going to forget this. It was some woman's birthday. At least the first two shows I went to. And he says, "Oh, happy birthday." I won't ask how old you are. I know that's not an appropriate thing to say. So, how much do you weigh? So yeah, Drew and George are always entertaining everyone unless they're playing, or if they're not playing the music just to keep everyone happy and upbeat and all that stuff. Then Drew and George are usually entertaining everybody, unless they have to reshoot something. There was the first show I went to. Drew did say something that he wasn't supposed to, so he had to redo that too. So, I mean, it's not a perfect world. It happens. But yeah, the second show went very, very long. I want to say the second show, if we started filming just after 12 noon, I specifically remember when I went back to security and got my phone. It was, I looked at the time, and it was like almost 2:45. So it took that show definitely took a while. Okay, so for day number three was interesting. This is the most awesome day right here. The third day, all right. Earlier in the week when we were having lunch at Kenneton Park, Sherry had mentioned that for Wednesday, the 27th, we were going to be going to the second show because Rachel would have more time for pictures and anything else after that. So I didn't think too much of it. I said, okay. And Sherry said that she had printed off tickets for the second shows just in case. So we didn't even for Wednesday, we didn't even have to be there until, I think it was 11 o'clock. I didn't think too much of it. We get there and Sherry, I don't know what she had, but she had some VIP secret agent ticket that got us in there without even having to go through the lines or security or test interviews or nothing. We walked past where all the benches were, through a special set of doors, and into this little waiting area inside the building. And it was pretty much like a VIP treatment here. And so we had to show them photo ID. The CBS page comes out. There were some other people there who I don't even think we even talked to when we were there that had VIPs tickets, or I don't know what share you pulled to get this, but it was pretty cool. We sat there and waited. Right when we got there, they had the local CBS station on, and the reruns. Keep in mind, this is summertime. The reruns of Price is Right were airing, and this was the show was just ending. The showcases, Drew was reading off the showcases, so I thought that was actually kind of cool. So Sherry and I waited in the little, I guess you can call it a lounge area, for a while the CBS page took our IDs and wrote our names on our name tags for us. And then when it was time, I don't know how long we were sitting there, but when it was time, we got to go down this hallway, and all the way down the hallway, I remember this, it had like posters of different CBS shows. You had NCIS, you had Good Wife, you had The Big Bang Theory. It was everyone. I think I saw Let's Make a Deal one. I don't know if I saw Price is Right one, but anyway, they took all of us that were sitting in that lounge over to a set of elevators that took us up to the floor. Keep in mind what I said earlier, that you go in the studio, when you're out in line, you go up a flight of steps. So they took us up this elevator, took us over to another hallway. We got to walk. We were pretty much backstage at CBS in the hallways there. That was pretty cool. We went over to this other hallway and we're waiting over there too. And then we were waiting. I don't know how long we were really waiting, but they led us to the studio in this little secret area through the building, and we were taken over we were at the Price is Right studio, and we made it to, where is that? It's right by, there's a little staircase that goes down to the floor where the audience is. It's way over in the corner, over by the stage. If you ever watch the show where the contestants are sitting after they've already played their games, it was that one. And they had certain seats roped off, and Sherry and I got two of them that were sitting. We were right there by the aisleway. This will be on the right side of the studio, closest to where Drew would stand when they're doing contestants row bidding and all that stuff. So it was about, I want to say about 4 or 5 rows back, but I was right there on the aisle seat. I had the aisle seat, so I was right there, and I had a pretty good view of everything. So this show was pretty cool to watch, because I was able to see just about everything. I really didn't see much of what was inside door number 3, the green door, for those of you wondering. And it was awesome. And after this show was done, I don't even remember what happened on this show now. I do remember one thing now, but I won't say anything because I don't want to ruin it. But after the show was all done and all that stuff, they're doing after each show, they're usually doing door prizes for whoever. They draw one of the numbers from the priority numbers that you had, and you get your own come on down. They play the music, and you get to come up on stage, and you win like a small amount of cash or whatever for it. But I think I want to say it was right before. I think it was right after that. It was right after that. Show's done, and Rachel comes out, and she knew where we were sitting, obviously, and waves at us, "Come on, up on stage." And this is the cool part. getting to go up on stage. I walked up the steps that everyone walks up when they win in contestants row and go up on stage. Those same steps over by where Drew would stand, and I was on the stage and meeting Rachel. Absolute single greatest moment of my entire life. It is still burned in my brain, the image of getting to hug her, and oh my god, that was awesome. She is seriously, TV does not do her justice at all. You can have the clearest, sharpest, most HD TV in the world, and it would not capture how beautiful she is. I am dead serious. It is burned in my brain the minute I got to hug her. I'm not going to forget that. I will never forget that. And this, I don't know why I did this. I thought about things ahead of time, nice things I could do for Rachel, and I don't know why I thought of this, but one of the things I was going to do was kiss her hand. And after we were done, she was letting go from hugging me. That's right then and there, boom. That's what I did. I don't know why I did that. I just did it. So that was cool. So then we got to take some pictures with her. Took one in front of the doors, the new doors that they just put in this year. One up on the turntable stage. Yeah, and then this part is really cool. Rachel made the suggestion of Sherry and I taking pictures at the showcase podiums. That was pretty cool, just as well. So after all that was done, Rachel, we're walking off the turntable stage, and Rachel says, "Okay, we got some time. We're all gonna go to lunch." And inside, when I heard her say that, I was like, "Yes, all right, let's go." But on the inside, my brain was just going kaboom. I thought to myself, "Holy crap! I'm gonna have lunch with Rachel," and that was pretty awesome. So we walked backstage. All right, I gotta describe this. We walked backstage, shortest way back there. It was. This area was right where the car would come out if they were gonna play Lucky 7. Walked back there around that little $sign thing that they have hanging there now. And I walk back there. Rachel says, "Okay, you guys sit here. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go change." All right. Well, I'm sitting there, and on my way back there, I walked right past the big wheel. I even got a couple pictures of that. I was so flabbergasted what I was seeing backstage. I couldn't sit there. I saw 2 other pricing games sitting back there that I want to point out were not played on this episode I was at. And yeah, there was Side by Side was sitting back there, and off in the distance was the game Bullseye. I was gonna go over and take a picture of it, but Rachel was back before that. But yeah, that was cool. That was cool sitting back there, and I wish I had taken selfies. I don't use that word very often, but I wish I had taken selfies of the pictures there, but I didn't. But you guys will just have to take my word for it on these pictures I'm showing you. And while I'm back there just standing around, I can hear George Gray talking to somebody. And there's like a staircase. It's hard to explain unless you were back there like I was, where that must be his dressing room up there. I'm just standing back there. I still have my name tag on, and then all of a sudden then all of a sudden I hear him say, "Hey Neil, how's it going?" and then I'm standing there talking to him. I'm like, "Hey, it's nice to be here. I was here yesterday and the day before," and I started mumbling and blabbing, and I'm kind of glad he paid attention because I sounded like a complete idiot. But yeah, that was cool getting to see him and all that stuff. So it was as fast as you can say Plinko. Rachel was done changing and we were ready to leave because honestly they only had an hour for lunch. And actually I do need to point out that this show they actually went to was the first show. Sherry, as she said, told me a fib to make me believe we were going to the second show, when in reality we were going to the first one. She calls it a fib. To me, a fib is the same thing as a lie, but whatever. I can't be upset about that at all. So yeah, we on our way out, we were gonna. Sherry and I got pictures with George Gray right before we were leaving, so that was cool. So it was Sherry, me, Rachel, and boy, there was some other lady that works backstage at Price is Right. The names escape me right now, and I kind of feel bad about that. But anyway, we were meeting two other people over at the Wood Ranch Grill restaurant place around the corner, and they had. So we were walking out the back door of the studio, backstage, and out in the hallway there was some of the game props from the games they were playing on that show I was just at. And I walked right past a couple props that were used in the fourth pricing game on this show that I was at. I won't say which one it was. This is episode 6845K. What this one was. I won't say what it was, but it was part of the fourth pricing game. As I thought that was cool. So we're walked over there. They had their own little secret, I don't want to say secret entrance, but little easy access for them to get over to. This is right there back by the Grove and all that stuff. So we're sitting there at Wood Ranch, not Woodland Ranch, having lunch. I'm telling Rachel a couple different things. Like here on YouTube, I do pricing game recaps of Price is Right episodes, and I told her that we do retro ones, and I did a retro recap of her first show, and she thought that was cool. And she was asking me about a video I had on YouTube that to my knowledge, I didn't even know she knew about. But in a way, I kind of did know. It was the video when I got that autograph from her back in 2011. I didn't even know she knew that I did a video about that, but I thought that was pretty cool. And I do post on Twitter whenever she reaches a milestone episode. And I'm always keeping track of how many shows she's been on. And right then and there, this kind of caught me by surprise. She asked me how many episodes she had been on, and at the time, this was like a week and a half after the Back to School episode had aired from season 42, and her episode count was 1,413 episodes. I asked her if she remembered the first car she ever modeled. I told her Pontiac Sunfire, and I asked her what game she remembered. She remembered what game it was from. It was actually from Spelling Bee, and honestly, the more I think about it, I think how could I expect her to remember that? But whatever. So I told her about her first episode. I remember this, and this. I only remember because it's on YouTube, by the way. But I don't remember what else I said. But anyway, it was at this point that she presented both Sherry and I with a little gift package. And I thought this was pretty cool. In this gift package, it was all in the Price is Right tote bag, an autographed picture of Rachel, a t-shirt signed by her, Drew Carey, and George Gray, a Price is Right pen, and a Price is Right coffee mug. I got a lot of Price is Right related coffee mugs, but none of them are like this. This one has black outlining around the letters in the Price is Right logo. And I didn't even know this until I got back home that the logo is on both sides. None of my other mugs are like that. That's pretty cool. And I took it upon myself right then and there. I had something custom made for Rachel, and I figured if she's gonna hand out gifts, I might as well hand out gifts right now too. What I had made was a set of custom made playing cards with pictures of Rachel on every one of them. And I'm not gonna lie, she loved that a lot more than I thought she ever would. And And I'm glad she did because I got an extra hug out of it. So, finished having lunch. Rachel and the other girls had to go back to the studio because they only get a certain amount of time for lunch. And I remember saying to Rachel when we said goodbye that if I said I love you, it wouldn't be enough. And that is true. I've been a fan of Rachel's for a long time, and I'll say it, I love her a lot. But I think I love her even more now after all this. This was truly an experience like no other. And I couldn't be happier with all this. So Sherry and I finished our lunch, and what did we do after that? Oh, we headed back to the hotel, relaxed for a little while, and then actually we went over to the Walk of Fame and walked up and down Hollywood Boulevard and saw a bunch of stars and all that stuff. So that was... So I had a pretty good time there. When we were out there was another Subway out there. I mean, I swear to God, there's Subway restaurants like every 4 blocks out there. It's insane. So, went to the Walk of Fame, had a great time out there. I headed back to the hotel because the next day we were leaving. That would have been Thursday. So, one thing I did just remember, after Tuesday's show, we had lunch or dinner, whatever you want to call it, over at the Cheesecake Factory. Unfortunately, I did not see Penny or Bernadette working there that day, but what do you do? So so that was pretty much most of my trip. Thursday, we got up, had breakfast, checked out of the hotel, got a Lyft ride to the airport, and started heading back home. My flight left at 12:30 Pacific time. And I was on Delta Airlines and Sherry was on American. Her flight left like an hour later. And we kept in contact, making sure we each made it to where we needed to be. So I remember when I was on the plane, getting on the plane from Los Angeles to go back home, that I actually started crying just a little bit. Normally I wouldn't admit to doing something like that on YouTube, but it finally hit me right then and there, everything that had happened in the last 3-4 days. I was sad that I had to leave Los Angeles, but that's how it is. I mean, I truly had the greatest experience of my life going out to see The Price is Right, and I didn't want to see it end, but as they say, all good things must come to an end. So, I tell you, it was weird coming home. Definitely weird coming home. So so here's a recap of the shows I went to. The first show I went to the shows I went to are supposed to air October 13th, 15th, and 17th. Episodes 6841K, 6843K, and 6845K. The dates I mentioned are scheduled air dates. They may change it around. If they do, it would be within that week. Because I've kept this quiet until recently, especially to my friends on Facebook, that the shows I went to, are you ready for this? Are part of Dream Car Week. You guys are going to see some of the most amazing cars out there. Trust me on this one, okay? the first show I went to, like I said, Sherry and I were sitting in the back row. Would be on the left side near the giant plasma screen on the TV. Guaranteed you will see me on TV, alright? I also remember that on that episode, a gentleman was called to come on down, sitting relatively close to me. He was sitting in a row in front of me and probably 5 or 6 spots over. So you should see me on TV from that too. The second show I went to, I was sitting in pretty much the same area, except for it was 1 row down and 2 spots over. A guy that was sitting in the row in front of me and 1 spot over was called to come on down then. So you'll see me from that. You should see me on TV that day. And then the third show that I went to, the day I got to meet Rachel, I was sitting on the opposite side of the studio near the aisleway. And I had the aisle seat, and a guy that was sitting in the row behind me, probably, I'm going to say about 5 or 6 spots over, was called to come on down. And I did shake his hand on his way by. So you're guaranteed to see me on TV then, too. So October 13th, 15th, and 17th, somewhat subject to change if they decide to move Dream Car Week around. They have done that in the past. I do keep track of that stuff. So I'll be watching. I'll make sure my friends on Facebook and everyone knows that which shows are airing when, and I'm definitely going to DVR my shows. So, in conclusion to this very long video, I want to say that this has definitely been the greatest experience of my entire life. I've been to 2 Packer games now, and those were nothing compared to what I got to do out in California seeing the Price is Right. I need to send out many thanks to a lot of people. Sherry, for making this happen. Rachel, who I love to death now. Everyone at the Price is Right. And my sister for taking me to the airport. A friend of mine who picked me up from the airport. And all my friends and family who supported me through all this, despite the loss in my family earlier this year. Going to see the Price is Right is something I would definitely love to do again. I would love to go back and do that because I will be perfectly honest with everyone. Going to see the Price is Right is something everybody needs to do once in their life. Sitting in that audience and watching the show happen it didn't even feel like a TV show, to be honest with you. It felt like a party. And that's exactly the kind of vibe that the producers go for when you're there. It really felt like one giant party. Like, I don't know, was it George Gray who said that, or Drew Carey, or somebody said it? How many times in life are a group of strangers going to get together and cheer for someone that they don't even know to win, possibly, win a new car or a lot of money or something like that? It's nowhere but the Price is Right you're going to do that. Like I said, I had the most amazing experience of my life going there, and I really want to do it again. And one thing I'm never going to forget, like I said earlier, they play pop music when everyone's coming to the studio and in between commercials and all that stuff. The first show I went to, the first day we walked in, there was a song playing. I knew it was Katy Perry's song. The lyrics to this fit very nicely. This is the part of me you'll never ever take away from me. And that is absolutely true. I loved my experience seeing The Price is Right. It's something I have dreamed about for over 20 years now. I'm so glad that I got to finally do it. And I am just amazed at how cool it is to do that. Alright, that's going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching. This is NeilRocks87, and I'll see you next time.